What's going on, guys? It's the Hunter Project here. Welcome to my channel where you'll find Monster Hunter news, builds, playthroughs and everything in between. Hope you do enjoy the video, and if you could smash that like and subscribe button, it would be extremely appreciated. Without wasting any more time, let's get right into the video. So, with Rise edging closer and closer to its release early next year, there still are a lot of unknown details, one of them being the entirety of the monster list. So, as we are still relatively far away, here are 10 monsters I am hoping that are in the game, and be sure to let me know down below what monsters you would like to see in Monster Hunter Rise when it releases in March next year. Right, so starting off with number 10, we have Congalala. So, if you aren't an old school Monster Hunter player, you might not know what this monster is, but this is basically a fanged wyvern that originated in the second installment of the awesome franchise and has made multiple appearances across the history of Monster Hunter. It was an extremely fun encounter in the older games, with its really aggressive but silly fighting style. Best of all, it's literally a farting machine, which it utilises on the offense. And yeah, if you got too close to this guy, he would back up, sit on you, and probably fart on your face. So yeah, of course he's going to be sitting at the top of this list, because as fun as it was to fight and dismissed, but not as much as the next monsters on this list. Right, so coming in at number 9, we have the spider Nerscylla from 4 Ultimate. So this monster had a really cool design, had a really awesome interaction with the player, as it was able to crawl on the ceilings, the walls, and as well as just regularly on the ground, allowing for lots of verticality in the fight. And of course, one of the best things 4 Ultimate brought to the table for the franchise would be the variety in surroundings and how the hunter could traverse them. Nerscylla literally just took this, amplified it, and added to the game's innovative intentions. So yeah, it was an awesome fight, and I hope we do see a lot more from the insects in the series. Right, coming in at number 8, this is a bit of a... it's at the top of the list because, as cool as it would be to see, they are probably going to be in the game, which are red and white Fatalis, and I'm pretty sure they've been in 90% of the Monster Hunter games, if I'm not wrong. Coming in at number 8, we have the remaining Fatalises that we did not see in World. Assuming either of these two are in the game, I presume that Black Fatalis will be, if the two subspecies are. So the reason these two are on the list specifically is due to how World handled the OG Fatalis encounter. They took it and made it much harder and gave the quest some fun mechanics to switch up the gameplay, so I hope that Rise's development team are able to take red and white Fatalis and create some more engaging encounters, just like they did with the black Fatalis on World. And also widening the moveset would be awesome to see, with more fancier moves, but of course still being practical. So of course, one of the examples they did with the black Fatalis is when he pounces on you, and then he glues you to his chest, and you get like heated up, and then he bites you and spits you out, which is pretty awesome. And I do think that's a reference to the lore of Fatalis. And yeah, but one thing that should remain 100% active is the difficulty. So Fatalis's difficulty in World was a perfect example of how hard a god tier monster should be, and of course the reactions from the community showed this pretty well. So coming in at number 7, we're moving away from the elders and back to our regular wyverns, and we have the snake wyvern Najarala. This monster is awesome and a common favourite from the 4 Ultimate debut when it was first shown off. It's a really fun monster. Its snake-like movements were awesome to watch, and they really managed to capture the behaviour of a monster-sized snake extremely well in the game. So it's no surprise 4 Ultimate is one of the most loved Monster Hunter games, considering how many mechanics, monsters and weapons it brought to the franchise. From it throwing its tail plates at you to create a deafening sound, to wrapping around you like a real world snake, just to constrict you until you're able to break free. And unless you have snake phobia, I really don't think you can dislike this monster for its design or its gameplay. Right, so coming on to number 6. The first of our newest entries to the series is Odogaron. So this fanged wyvern is generally the apex predator in the food chain, of the middle tier monsters, and these are some speedy boys. It has an awesome design with its red scales, bony protrusions, and pinecone looking tail, not to mention the double row of claws that he has, which are actually pretty lethal because they leave you with the forgot the name of the blight, but the one that drains your health, the needle blight, the spike blight, something blight. But yeah, the way it moves around is always keeping you on your feet, which is always a fun fight. But of course I can understand where this could get annoying for the slower moving weapons. But of course that's the learning curve of Monster Hunter, and everyone can overcome it, it just takes practice. So as awesome as this monster is though, it is always nice to see Devil Joe just come and throw this guy around, and then just let it rest in its mouth. But yeah, moving on to number 5, we have Nergigante. So I feel like all the Monster Hunter World players who didn't use the Defender armor crafted this guy's armor. Like, I don't see how you could not. Everything about this guy is just screaming epic, from its massive horns to black unbreakable spikes. Nergigante has amazing map presence. Its moveset makes great use of its appearance as well as making good sense of it. So it utilizes its spikes from various attacks, giving it more range and increasing its lethality. And to top it off, he's so savage that you could say his ultimate is where he, as soon as his spikes are all hardened, he'll fly into the air and then come crashing down on some suicidal dive, which is pretty awesome. And this leads to him breaking all his own spikes, but it is a pretty deadly move. And yeah, he would be further down the list, but I did want to put some of the older monsters that have sat back in the mainline games on the forefront, and yeah, but I am looking forward to seeing this guy return hopefully, and hopefully World wasn't a one-off. Right, at number 4 we have Gore Magala. So before we hit our top 3, we have Gore Magala. This is a really ominous wyvern, which is very similar to an elder dragon and possesses 6 limbs, including the clawed wings on its back. Its body is covered in dark exoskeleton plates with notable features, including the hidden feelers that are folded alongside its face. And yeah, this guy looks awesome, as with most of the other monsters on this list, but best of all, it added a very exclusive blight to the fight called Frenzy Virus, which made the battle a lot more engaging and fresher. And of course it gave a new take on how monsters should be designed. It was a really good flagship, like it really did boast on the cover as a selling point of the game. And yeah, I loved how it was like a elder dragon Naga Cougar in design, as it added to its extremely mysterious origins. But either way, I'd love to see Gore Magala make its return, and hopefully we get to see it. Right, now we are on to the top 3, and kicking it off we have the 2 flying wyverns who probably shouldn't be flying, Akantor and Ukanlos. So they are extremely similar, but one is fire and one is ice, so they have a joint place because they practically are really similar monsters. It's like Rathalos and Ravian, but just a lot bigger. So these two are really fun to fight, as they are a mix of like a siege and a regular monster in terms of size and how their encounters play out. So they are pretty damn massive, but you don't get access to siege weapons. And I still remember the times I fought them back on Freedom Unite, and they were a blast to fight, especially with other players in your squad. And they both are fought in their respective extremely open locales, and they really bring a sense of victory when slaying such a massive beast without cannons, ballista, or a dragonator. But to save time on the video, I will be swiftly moving on, but I assure you these guys are worth looking up or even fighting for yourself. Right, so number 2, we have Dalamadur. So this is probably one of the best monsters in the entire franchise, from its lore, monster design, and soundtrack to its fantastic map presence. The way it wraps around the map on such a large scale is amazing to see, not to mention the fight was pulled off on a 3DS of all consoles, which of course isn't exactly a bad console, but this fight is better than many of the other quests among the franchise's main line of games, and they had a fraction of the computing power they have now, So just imagine what they could do with this fight if they took it onto the Switch. Just looking at the gameplay and how well the game is running in the new open environments on Rise, I'm sure if this monster returned, they'd be able to make it look and play out really well. And here we are at the number 1 spot. So taking this place is the one and only Gobul. This absolute unit of a... No, I'm just taking the piss, guys. Taking the number 1 spot is Nergigante or Nergigante, depending on how you pronounce it. So, not gonna lie, there's a lot of bias towards this, but of course that's what's expected on a top 10 list. One of my all-time favourite monsters and one of the main selling points for me on 3 Ultimate. So, as you expected, there's a lot of bias in this, and Laggy is no exception. So this is probably one of my favourite monsters in the entire franchise. As annoying as the underwater combat was in 3 Ultimate, Generations proved that this could be fought without it requiring its water capabilities, but this does not mean it would have to leave the water. Like, they could do it similar to how Larvesioth was done, and just have it enter the water temporarily. Of course, inevitably it would always resurface relatively quickly. They did actually tease us on World with this, as it was one of the test monsters, but they couldn't get the animations working on the engine. So hopefully they are able to fix the issues with this monster that they had, especially now they're using the RE engine. And yeah, hopefully they are able to bring it back to the main line of games. And I think it will be the return since 3 Ultimate in the mainline games, which would be pretty awesome to see it return. And yeah, so this does bring the list to the close, guys, and hopefully we will see, if not. And yeah, guys, that brings our list to a close. Hopefully we will see most, if not all, of these monsters in Rise, and I do hope it does have a similar monster list to 4 Ultimate or even Generations, which did have a pretty massive monster list. Fingers crossed, but if neither, hopefully it does have a good variety of monsters in the lineup. But regardless, I'm sure it'll be a fantastic installment to the series, like all the other entries. And yeah, if you did enjoy the video, if you could smash the like button and subscribe, I'd be very grateful for that. And be sure to comment down below what monsters you would like to see in Rise, and I will see you in the next one, guys.